Now on the CTV News at 5, Lethbridge City Council votes on body-worn cameras for police officers.
I think it does bring a level of transparency not only for the police service but also for the citizens of Lethbridge.
Details on the cost to taxpayers. Plus, Tabor corn is officially on sale.
It's good to get finally going.
How this year's harvest was impacted by heavy rainfall. And a Southern Alberta woman is heading to England for the Rugby World Cup. More coming up in sports.
Telling your stories. CTV News Lethbridge with Mark Villani.
Thank you for joining us. An Alberta man is now facing murder charges in connection with the hit and run deaths of two men struck by a vehicle on the Siksika Nation Saturday night.
I heard it rev its engine and I had a feeling, I was like, you guys, we should get out the way, get in the field. I feel like they're gonna hit us. And as we were running, we all scattered, we ran, and that truck, he intentionally came and he tried to clip all five of us, but me and my friend got out the way, and he hit my mom's boyfriend first, then my mom, and then my husband was last.
Pantherbone was one of two people who were not injured. Loved ones are planning a vigil for Trayton Running Bird, who was killed. Clifton Saddleback also lost his life, and Emma Lean Turning Robe was critically injured, suffering from dozens of broken bones. RCMP recovered the suspect vehicle and have charged Adolphus Weaselchild with 2 counts of first-degree murder and 1 count of attempted murder. Anyone with video of the incident is asked to contact RCMP or Crime Stoppers. Well, starting next year, frontline officers with Lethbridge Police Service will be wearing body-worn cameras. City Council approved nearly $1.5 million today to purchase and implement the change ahead of the province's deadline. Carson Marsouk reports.
It's a piece of technology designed to increase transparency and accountability. Starting next year, officers with the Lethbridge Police Service will add body-worn cameras to their uniforms.
It does bring a level of transparency not only for the police service but also for the citizens of Lethbridge.
Through the city's Municipal Revenue Stabilization Reserve, Council approved $550,000 this year to purchase the cameras and $914,000 next year to use them. In March 2023, the province announced that body-worn cameras would become mandatory for all police officers in Alberta by the end of next year. A funding grant is available, but the city would bear 78% of costs, while the province covers 22%.
It comes in between our budget cycles, so again, you're pulling from reserves and to be able to cover the costs that are be associated with those body-worn cameras. And there wasn't a decision; we couldn't say no. They're mandated. So there's some frustration, definitely within council and especially with some colleagues on that.
The city says it will cost $5,500 annually to use one camera, with about 165 cameras needed. Funding will also cover licensing and disclosure.
Use of technology is right now becoming more and more critical in our service delivery and ensuring transparency and what we do every day, and certainly this is welcome news, not only for the community but also for our officers.
Council also approved any additional money needed be included in the 2027 and 2028 to 2031 operating budget. Carson Marsouk, CTV News, Lethbridge.
Lethbridge City Council approved its economic development research and support strategy today. The one-time funding of $475,000 from the Municipal Restabilization Fund is set to provide temporary resources to complete and implement potential future redevelopment-based incentives. City administration says the strategy will allow staff to move faster through the work and to be less resilient on outside funding sources. The up-to-date strategy and appropriate policies will provide clear direction to administration and service providers.
It is a gap that came out not only from our discussions with City Council, but also with discussions with our local partners in this, both Economic Development Lethbridge and Tourism Lethbridge, in regards to our economic strategy, and having somebody within City Hall here that's their dedicated role to work between those groups and also the business community as well.
In June, Council also approved 2 motions focused on long-term financial sustainability framework and economic development. Danielle's in now with a look at weather. Looks like some milder conditions today.
You're right, and beautiful weather overall. Stable weather for the most part anyway. There is a little bit of development, as we talked about, often to the mountains, the foothills, but this isn't going to gain any steam. It'll stay there and then it will just fall apart. So for Lethbridge, off to the east, we're just looking at sunshine for the rest of the evening and then a quiet night as well. Temperatures looking like this. So we've climbed to around normal for most communities in southern Alberta. At this point, it's 23 in Pincher Creek in Lethbridge and Medicine Hat, 24 in Brooks, and 25 in Milk River. I'll have more details about your longer range forecast coming up. Mark.
Thanks, Danielle. Lethbridge police are thanking the public for their help in identifying 2 individuals involved in an apparent assault earlier this month that happened outside the Walmart on Mayor McGrath Drive. Police say they have now identified this man who was allegedly involved in a verbal altercation inside the store, which then spilled over into the parking lot where a weapon is believed to have been produced. Officers were also looking for the owner of an orange hot rod with no hood who may have witnessed the assault. They say they've since done so thanks to tips from the public. Meanwhile, Brooks RCMP are requesting help in locating a missing person. A 24-year-old Nihom Worku was last seen on Friday, July 25th in Brooks. He is last reported as driving to Medicine Hat, and there is concern for his well-being. Worku is 5 feet 10 inches tall, about 160 pounds, with black shoulder-length braided hair. If you have any information on his whereabouts, you're asked to contact RCMP or Crime Stoppers. A southern Alberta man is charged with uttering threats, criminal harassment, and the possession of a dangerous weapon following a road rage incident last week in Taber. 18-year-old Wilhelm Thiessen Wolf of Ransom was arrested by Taber police, who responded to a complaint involving a road rage incident around 11 p.m. on July 24th. The investigation revealed that a man had been followed for several blocks while driving his car. Eventually, the complainant stopped their vehicle, but it's believed Wolf approached them with what appeared to be a long firearm and began uttering threats. Wolf was arrested without incident. He was released with conditions and made his first court appearance today. Well, Taber corn is starting to hit farm stands around Alberta. While it was the optimal growing season for corn, farmers are still excited about this year's crop. Quinn Keenan has more.
The first ears of the season are popping up at farm stands. Johnson Fresh Farms has started sending corn to local farm stands. Soon the corn will be available across the prairies.
It's good to get finally going. And I know we don't. Everyone's always asking us. We get a lot of comments. Hey, when's corn coming out? When's corn coming out? And maybe we should do a little better job of, I guess, keeping everyone, up to date of the start date. But we just found that it's farming. It's always unpredictable.
Molnar Farms will have its corn hitting stands soon. Barnwell will be getting its first corn of the season from Molnar Farms on Tuesday.
Oh, we're very excited. It's looking really nice. And we can't wait to get out and see all of our customers again and see the smiles on their faces when they're picking up their corn to go home and cook it for their family.
The corn could have been at stands even sooner. A hot and dry start to the growing season had the corn growing quickly, but wetter than expected conditions in July slowed things down.
Our July has been historically colder and wetter, which has been fine for the rest of the farm. It definitely slowed down our start date or pushed our start back on our corn, which was a little unexpected.
Despite the slower than hoped harvest, producers are still happy with how the corn is looking so far. Producers know their customers wait all year to get their hands on Taber corn.
It's looking really good. Really, really good. We're very happy with the crop we have this year. And hopefully the yield's good. We're going to see when we start picking tomorrow morning.
Barring any heat waves or unexpected rain, the Taber corn season will stretch into mid-September. Quinn Keenan, CTV News, Lethbridge.
The Alberta government is announcing grants aimed at strengthening the health, biodiversity, and long-term resilience of rangelands. $1.3 million from the Rangeland Sustainability Program will go to academics, nonprofits, and other agricultural partners. Minister of Forestry and Parks Todd Loewen says the money will aid in providing food for livestock and supporting rural communities. Local funding recipients close to Lethbridge include Blood Tribe Land Management, along with the Southwest Alberta Sustainability Community Initiative. 10 candidates running in the federal by-election in the Alberta riding of Battle River Crowfoot are set to debate tonight in Camrose. Conservative leader Pierre Poilievre will be taking part, and it will be live streamed. He's looking to win the riding after he lost his long-held Ottawa seat of Carleton in the April general election. The writ was dropped last month after the Conservative MP stepped down so Poilievre could run. More than 200 candidates are registered to run, 7 of whom have political party affiliations.
It prevents or makes it difficult for credible candidates to get attention. I don't think it's going to make the point that the people behind it want to.
There will be an adapted ballot to account for the number of candidates. Instead of marking a blank circle next to the name, electors will have to write the name of the candidate they are voting for instead. The by-election is on August 18th. A potential referendum question has been sent to a judge to make sure it doesn't violate the Constitution. The proposed question is whether people agree with Alberta becoming a sovereign country and ceasing to be a province in Canada. The question was submitted to the electoral officer by Mitch Sylvester, an executive with the Alberta Prosperity Project. If approved, Sylvester would still need to collect 177,000 signatures in 4 months to get his question on a ballot. In June, Alberta's electoral officer approved a competing question that seeks to have Alberta make it an official policy that the province will never separate from Canada. The provincial governments and Alberta's Union of Provincial Employees will be entering an enhanced mediation process for contract negotiations. The finance minister says he spoke with the AUPE president, and both parties believe this is the best path towards a fair and equitable agreement. The mediator will produce non-binding recommendations for both parties to consider. The process is expected to be finished by the end of August. In May, 90% of unionized provincial employees voted for strike action. The AUPE represents about 23,000 provincial workers. Still ahead, the Canadian Dental Care Plan hopes to fill a gap. But will it make oral health care more accessible for uninsured Canadians? That story coming up in Medical Watch.
All right, here's your Skywatch weather camera facing south, and look at that. The vitamin D that we really do need. We need the rain. We also need some sunshine, some warmer temperatures, considering we're nearing the end of July here. Okay, 22 was the high in Calgary so far, Edmonton 24, Vancouver 24, Victoria as well. So in those lower to mid 20s for Western Canada for the most part, and then off to the east, they're dealing with excessive heat at this point and some heat waves, and they're going to get really hot over the coming days. At this point, though, Toronto saw a high of 33 and Ottawa, Montreal 30. Okay, right now, big picture for our province here. It's 29, or sorry, not just our province. Golden 29, Cranbrook 30, so a little warmer on the BC side. And then on our side, yeah, we have a lower 20 for Pincher Creek, Calgary again, that 22, and then those mid 20s, Drumheller in through Brooks and Medicine Hat and Milk River. Okay, radar and satellite. We have a ridge of high pressure in place, but it's not as strong, and what we're looking at is a little bit of development here in the foothills. So it's not going to gain enough steam to track off to the east. It's really just going to die out off into the foothills and in the mountains, so most communities are not going to see any of this activity. For example, Cranbrook, Pincher Creek, Christmas Pass has the potential for thunderstorm activity for this evening and even tomorrow evening. But everywhere else, thanks to this ridge of high pressure, not looking at that. So this ridge of high pressure will be in place till about Friday. Late Friday is when we'll notice some rain creep in, Friday night especially for most communities, and then Saturday will be a cooler, rainier day once again, unfortunately for the weekend. All right, so there's that development off in the foothills, but then you can see it dies out. So even by 9 o'clock, no one's seeing any activity. And then by the time we get into tomorrow, it will build in once again into the mountains and the foothills, but then it will die out pretty quick once again. So thanks to the ridge of high pressure, it's fairly stable. And for everywhere, QE2, Highway 2 and off to the east, we are looking at all sunshine and stability right through Friday. East Kootenay area, again, thunderstorm activity is possible. 15 degrees overnight, and then 32 as a high tomorrow, with the chance of thunderstorms once again later in the day tomorrow. Christmas Pass 11, thunderstorm activity, and then mix of sun and cloud. Very small risk of any sort of thunderstorm activity tomorrow late in the day, but there's that possibility. And as we talked about, off to the east, we're looking at just all sunshine, and the heat will build. A high of 29 degrees for the Medicine Hat area tomorrow. Lethbridge looking at a high high of 27. There may be some fog patches in the morning. A mix of sun and cloud tomorrow and lots of sunshine through Thursday and Friday. And by Friday, we'll likely hit that 30-degree mark. The rain arrives Friday night, will continue into Saturday, where we'll pick up about 3 to 7 millimeters.
The Alberta government released the latest number of measles cases today, and yet again, we're seeing a jump. Alberta recorded 28 new cases today, including a 50th case in Calgary. The South Zone once again saw the majority of new infections as it inches closer to 1,000 cases. The province has now had just over 1,600 confirmed measles cases this year, 16 of which are considered active. One person is in hospital right now as well. Alberta is considered the hotspot across North America, exceeding the total number of cases in all of the United States. Well, Canada is falling behind other G7 countries when it comes to providing support for people with dementia. That's according to a new report from the Brainwell Institute. The report says Canada is lagging when it comes to prevention, diagnosis, and end-of-life care for people with dementia. And this country was the last G7 country to release a national dementia strategy. The report found that in 2019, the average wait time from the onset of symptoms to receiving a formal diagnosis is up to 28 months compared to days or weeks for diagnosing diseases like cancer. Dementia is one of the leading causes of death in Canada, and there are concerns that with an aging population, the number of Canadians living with dementia could rise from 770,000 to nearly 1 million by 2030. The federal dental care plan was meant to break down barriers, but some dentists say it's now creating new ones. CTV's Hafsa Arif explains why the Canadian Dental Association says urgent action is required.
The idea seems simple, provide dental care for people who couldn't afford it. But for Shannon Julian, the reality has been anything but.
You have to pay, and it's pretty not good because some people can't afford to pay just to get their teeth clean.
Julian is on social assistance and lives with a disability. Like many, she's covered for basic cleaning, but anything beyond that, she says it adds up.
Dental surgeries won't cover it either under the federal government.
The Canadian Dental Association insists these struggles aren't unique. It supports the Canadian Dental Care Plan, but says gaps in the program are making it harder to deliver care.
Initially, people were getting denials across the board with little to no explanation why these treatments were being denied. And sometimes it was taking months to hear back.
Right now, nearly 70% of dentists rate the pre-authorization experience as negative. 52% of treatment requests were denied, and offices spend 32 minutes a day breaking down coverage details.
This expectation by our patients that this is free coverage, that whatever they want is covered and that it's not going to cost them any money. I think early messaging about the CGCP kind of gave people that idea.
There are fears the federal plan could replace existing private coverage, which may create even more pressure on the system. And while that hasn't happened, the association wants to see urgent action.
Even though I'm under the cover with the government, we don't get everything.
She's been named one of the very best rugby players in all of Canada. Coming up, we tell you about the Southern Alberta woman set to compete at the upcoming World Cup. Welcome back. It was another busy night across the Western Canadian Baseball League. Here's a look at some local scores. The Medicine Hat Mavericks won a 2-1 nail-biter against Swift Current. Brooks, meanwhile, played an odd doubleheader against two separate teams. The Bombers lost Game 1, 8-7 to the Cactus Rats, but they would pick up a 3-2 win in Game 2 against the Sylvan Lake Gulls. Tonight, the Lethbridge Bulls will travel up to Brooks to take on the Bombers. The Mavericks will head to Swift Current to finish up a home-and-home series. Both games start at 7:05. A Vulcan, Alberta woman is suiting up for Team Canada at the Rugby World Cup in England next month. Dalika Menin was officially named to the squad. The 30-year-old prop, who currently plays for the Exeter Chiefs in England, is a force to be reckoned with on the pitch. Canada is ranked second in the world, just behind the defending World Cup champions New Zealand. The squad kicks off its first group stage game of that tournament against Fiji on August 23rd. Well, Team Alberta is celebrating a national U18 football title for the first time in 18 years. That was a 55-yard touchdown return in the dying seconds of the final game to give Alberta the victory against Quebec. The Football Canada Cup in Nova Scotia featured the best under-18 players from across the country.
I was part of Team Alberta the last 2 years too, but this was definitely the craziest experience.
It's unbelievable. Wow, it was an amazing feeling. It was a shock. You know, not many people get to say that they're the best in the nation.
It was a one-of-a-kind experience for sure. We all bought in and came together.
This is Team Alberta's 7th U18 Football Canada Cup win in its history. Well, Canadian tennis star Eugenie Bouchard is not quite done with professional tennis, just yet at least. She won her first round match at the National Bank Open in Montreal last night.
Makes it.
Bouchard won the first set against her 24-year-old opponent from Colombia. She lost the second set, but won 6-2 in the final set to advance. Bouchard announced she would retire from the WTA Tour earlier this month after barely playing professional tennis. Last night's win was her first in 2 years on the tour. Still ahead, a dream come true for a Katy Perry superfan. How this guy got up on stage with the singer and his Alberta connection. Coming up. An Alberta man's teenage dream came true at a Katy Perry concert.
I need to study better geography. What did you say?
I said Medicine Hat, Alberta.
Medicine Hat? Yes. Medicine Hat?
Correct.
Medicine Hat!
A big shout out for the hat there as Katy Perry pulled Braden Palumbo onto the stage during a concert in Vancouver, asking him about his hometown and where he worked. She had never heard of Medicine Hat and she wasn't sure what a co-op gas bar was either. The pop star picked the 20-year-old from the back of Rogers Arena thanks to his enthusiasm. Well, it's a special event to mark the 45th anniversary of the Terry Fox Marathon of Hope, the release of a new book for children.
A is for adventure. Terry Fox had an older brother, younger brother, and little sister. It was always an adventure when they played together. B is for basketball. Terry loved all kinds of sports, especially basketball. He worked hard to be a good player.
Author Denise Diaz read her book, T is for Terry, an ABC of courage to a group of children and their parents this week. The book chronicles Terry Fox's life from his childhood all the way through to his Marathon of Hope back in 1980. What a wonderful story. Well, thank you very much for joining us tonight. That's all the time we have. Now here's the early edition of the CTV National News.